Welcome to educational channel of Suresh classes. We are going to solve permutation and combination, NCERT class 11th, chapter 7, miscellaneous exercise, question 7. In an examination, a question paper consists of 12 questions divided into two parts, that is part 1 and part 2. Containing 5 and 7 questions respectively. A student is required to attempt 8 questions in all, selecting at least 3 from each part. In how many ways can a student select the questions? The student has to select at least 3 questions from each part. So this can be done. The first situation is the student selects 3 questions from part A and 5 questions from part 2, 3 questions from part 1 and 5 questions from part 2. Second situation is 4 questions from part 1 and 4 questions from part 2, and third situation is 5 questions from part 1, that is the maximum number of questions available in part 1, and 3 questions in part 2. This way there are 3 alternatives of selecting 8 questions. So we solve one by one each situation. Part A, 3 questions from part 1 and 5 questions from part 2. This is equal to, this can be done in 5C3 ways, multiplied by 7C5. This is equal to 5C3 is factorial 5 upon factorial 3 into factorial 2, multiplied by 7C5 is 7 factorial upon 5 factorial into 2 factorial. So we cancel 5 factorial of numerator by 5 factorial of denominator and write 7 factorial as 7 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 factorial upon 3 factorial into 2 factorial is 2, and again 2 factorial is 2. So we cancel 3 factorial of denominator by 3 factorial of numerator, and we also cancel 2 multiplied by 2 of denominator by 4 of numerator. So we have 7 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 5, which is equal to 7 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 5, that is 6 times 5 is 30 times 7 is 210. Part B or type B of selecting the questions is 4 questions from each section. 4 questions from part A or part 1 and 4 questions from part 2. This can be done in 5C4 multiplied by 7C4 ways. This is equal to 5 factorial upon 5C4 can be written as 5 factorial upon 4 factorial into 1 factorial multiplied by 7C4 is 7 factorial upon 4 factorial into 3 factorial. This is equal to 5 factorial can be written as 5 into 4 factorial upon 4 factorial into 1 factorial is 1 multiplied by 7 factorial can be written as 7 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 4 factorial upon 4 factorial, and 3 factorial can be written as 3 into 2 into 1. So we cancel the 4 factorial of numerator by 4 factorial of denominator, as well as 4 factorial of numerator by 4 factorial of denominator, and we cancel 3 multiplied by 2 of denominator by 6 of numerator. This gives us 5 multiplied by 7 multiplied by 5. So 5 times 5 is 25 times 7 is 175. Now situation C is in which 5 question is selected from part 1 and 3 questions are selected from part 2. 5 questions from part 1 can be selected in 5C5 ways, multiplied by 3 questions from part 2 can be selected as 7C3. This is equal to 5C5 is 5 factorial upon 5 factorial into 0 factorial. So we cancel 5 factorial by 5 factorial. This comes out to be equal to 1. And 7 factorial, 7C3 can be written as 7 factorial upon 3 factorial into 4 factorial. This is equal to 7 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 4 factorial upon 3 factorial can be written as 3 into 2 into 1 multiplied by 4 factorial. So we cancel the 4 factorial of numerator by 4 factorial of denominator, and we cancel 3 multiplied by 2 of denominator by 6 of numerator. So we are left with 7 multiplied by 5, which is equal to 35. Therefore total number of ways of selecting questions equal to 210 plus 175 plus 35. So 210 plus 175 plus 35 equal to 420 ways. This is the answer to this question. Here completes this video. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Also press bell icon to get the latest notifications.